Hello. Everything has a surface. You can't help but leave surfaces when you're carving. The surface is where the mass meets the air. So as you finish a carving, whether it's a relief carving or a working around, you will have to deal with the surface. A very important idea that the surface is something you control as an artist, and you must leave it as you want it, not how you can accidentally get it. And you can leave the surfaces, for example, with detail on, such as feathers. You can leave them very smooth. You can leave them textured. There's all sorts of options, and in this little series I want to show you, or give you a few options, so you have a repertoire of things that you could do. And I'd really encourage you to play and experiment and see how your tools, rasps, whatever, produce different finishes. We'll start with the gouges. So this is a running cut. It essentially starts and carries on running in a straight line. And of course you can make it deeper or shallower. You can curve it to one side or you can curve it to the other. You can use smaller tools. You can stack them up together like this in an ordered fashion. An example of that would be this head here that has the running cuts forming a sort of stylized hair, or this fin of this fish, which again is very stylized, and the running cut is used here to make a sort of pattern, a very formal ordered pattern. But of course you could just make these cuts shorter like this. Let me swap to a bigger tool for you. So this is a little sort of scooping cut, and you could texture the surface like this. And again, you can do it in an ordered sort of way, or you could do it randomly, or you could make these gouge marks actually head in a particular direction, left or right. So you can actually use this this tool pretty much like a paintbrush, and texture the surface and make each one of these cuts matter. So for example, we have in this carving here, this is probably probably my second carving ever that I did, and you can see that I've used the tools in the background to make a sort of circular energetic pattern. Then here in the background of this wolf's head, these marks are much more lighter, but they're definitely there and form a sort of rippling pattern in the background which has been later stained. So using these tool marks you can get all sorts of different effects. When it comes to rasps, the best thing is to just play with what you've got, see what happens. This is a very coarse rasp, and you can see it'll make very coarse scratch marks. You can even make them more obvious by using the rounded side of it. And of course from coarse rasps you can refine those cuts with a rasp with fewer teeth. And you can make these lines go wherever you like about the carving, about the surface. But of course in a carving you can't normally use a big rasp unless it's something very simple. So this is where rifflers come into their own, and you can certainly use these to make surface textures. Again, a coarse one, you can feel that, or a much finer one, and work these in the direction that you want the grooves to go. So a couple of examples would be one we've seen on this site already, the bat, where I used rifflers to make the fur, directing the strokes along where the fur goes. Or here in this very small beaver that I carved, which is no more than about an inch high, I used a fine riffler on the fur to make that sort of light texturing, that smooth texturing of a beaver. So again, just play, just have fun, see what happens, see what your options are. We've seen the froster in action. It's a little punch that looks like a meat tenderizer. We've seen it in action in the high relief number 501 that I did some while ago. Basically you can tap it into the surface and make a pattern that's either uniform or random or following some sort of track. So that's certainly one option that I use in many different places. Here's a punch I like. It's a little four-pointed punch made from a bolt with a triangular file cutting these little grooves. So it's got 4 points and makes a very neat little mark like that, rather like a little flower. So you can line these up like this, rotating them each time, filling in the space. You get a really nice little pattern. Here's a smaller four-cornered punch made from a nail, and that gives a much lighter, smaller little flower effect. You can see this again in the beaver picture that I've just shown you, and if you look closely you can see it being used as almost like little flowers in the background of the beaver. Well, I hope that's given you just a few ideas of things that you can do with tools, with rasps and punches. Very traditional ways of working surfaces. In the next lesson I'm going to show you how to finish a surface direct from the chisel. This is my preferred way of carving. I come straight off the chisel, done, and I'm out of there. So let me show you how I do it.